I woke up at 3 in the morning to my phone buzzing on the nightstand. Squinting at the screen, I saw a text from my wife Amanda, who was supposed to be at a business conference in Vegas. The message read, "Just married my coworker James. You were always too pathetic for me anyway. By the way, your stuff will be on the lawn when I get back." I stared at those words, felt a strange calm wash over me, and typed a single reply, "Good." Then I blocked all her cards and changed the locks. But this morning the police showed up at my door. Before I get into what happened next, let me know where you are watching from, and hit subscribe to follow my journey from betrayal to freedom. Looking back, our 5-year marriage seemed perfect on the surface. We lived in a beautiful suburban home outside of Portland, had good jobs, and everyone thought we were the ideal couple. Amanda worked as a marketing director at a tech company, while I managed my own small architectural design firm. We met through mutual friends at a gallery opening, and everything clicked right away. Within a year, we were married and planning our future together. The first signs of trouble started about 8 months ago, but I dismissed them. Amanda began coming home later and later from work. At first it was just an hour or two. Then it stretched to her walking through the door close to midnight. When I asked about it, she would smile and say, "The Lancaster account is killing me," or "The new product launch is all hands on deck." I trusted her completely. Then James entered the picture. James Sullivan, the new creative director at her company. She mentioned him casually at first. "James had the most brilliant idea in the meeting today." Or, "You would like James. He is into architectural photography too." Soon, his name peppered every conversation about work. I remember the first time I met him at the company Christmas party. Tall, confident, with a charismatic smile and designer clothes that probably cost more than my monthly mortgage payment. He shook my hand firmly and said, "So you are the famous Tyler that Amanda talks about constantly." I noticed how he placed his hand on the small of her back as he spoke, and how quickly she laughed at his jokes. Still, I pushed any suspicions aside. Amanda had always been friendly and outgoing. That was one of the things I loved about her, and I refused to be the jealous, controlling husband. Our physical and emotional connection began deteriorating slowly. Date nights became rarer, as she often canceled at the last minute. Intimacy dwindled from 3 times a week to once, then to almost never. When I tried to discuss it, Amanda blamed stress and exhaustion from work. I made so many attempts to save our marriage. I planned surprise weekend getaways that she would find reasons to postpone. I suggested couples therapy, but Amanda insisted we did not need it. I tried to maintain open communication, asking what I could do better, how I could support her more. She would just pat my cheek and say, "You worry too much. Everything is fine." When Amanda told me about the important business conference in Vegas that would last a week, I offered to come along. We could extend the trip, have some fun after her work commitments. She quickly shot down the idea. "No spouses allowed. Very strict policy. I will be in meetings all day anyway." The morning after she left, I was paying bills when I noticed something odd on our credit card statement. There were charges from a high-end boutique in Vegas and a reservation at a restaurant known for romantic dinners, all from the previous month. A restaurant that would require booking weeks in advance. My stomach dropped. Against everything I believed about trust in a marriage, I logged into her email account that we had shared the password for since we got married. It took less than 5 minutes to find the truth. There were no confirmation emails, no hotel booking under her company name. Instead, I found a thread with James discussing their Vegas getaway, planning it for weeks. They had even joked about what they would tell their spouses. His wife thought he was at a trade show in Chicago. That was my first real disappointment the moment the foundation began to crack. I sat in our home office for hours, staring at those emails, trying to reconcile the woman I married with the person who could lie so easily to my face. I did not confront her then. Some part of me still hoped there was an explanation, or that I was misunderstanding something. For the next 3 days, I watched her social media posts about the conference, complete with photos of her in meeting rooms and professional attire. She was creating an elaborate alibi, not realizing I already knew the truth. Then came the middle of the night text that changed everything. The complete text exchange was even worse than that first message. After her announcement about marrying James, I scrolled up to see the previous texts she had sent while I was sleeping. You never appreciated what you had. James makes 6 times your salary and knows how to please a woman. We have been together for months, right under your nose. How pathetic that you never noticed. Each word felt like a physical blow, but something unexpected happened inside me. Instead of breaking down or firing back angry responses, a strange clarity took over. This woman was not the person I married. That person had never existed. I took a deep breath and simply typed, "Good." The response was instantaneous. "What do you mean?" "Good. You are supposed to be upset." I did not reply again. Instead, I blocked her number and got to work. At 4 in the morning, I called our bank and explained the situation to their 24-hour fraud department. They were surprisingly understanding and immediately froze our joint accounts and credit cards. I transferred my personal savings to a new account at a different bank funds that had come from a small inheritance from my grandfather the year before. By 7 in the morning, I had a locksmith at our house changing every lock. The guy Ron worked quickly and efficiently, asking no questions about why someone would need all their locks changed so urgently. Throughout the morning, I meticulously documented everything. I took screenshots of the text messages, the credit card statements, and the emails between Amanda and James. I forwarded everything to my personal email and printed copies. Around 9, I called my college friend Michael, who worked as a family lawyer. He advised me to secure any valuable personal possessions and documents. "Get your birth certificate, social security card, and any family heirlooms out of the house today," he warned. "And do not leave the property until we have filed for an emergency temporary order regarding the residence." While gathering my important documents from our home office, I found more evidence of how long Amanda had been planning this. There was a folder hidden in her desk drawer with apartment listings in the city where James had apparently been transferred. Another folder contained financial documents, showing she had been moving money from our joint savings account to a private one for months, little by little, so I would not notice. The most painful discovery was finding receipts for expensive men's cologne and whiskey in our credit card statements and trash can purchases I never received. They suggested James had been in our home while I was away, on a 3-day trip to visit my parents 2 months ago. The final blow was finding a draft email in her personal account, addressed to me but never sent. It was dated 3 months earlier and read, "Tyler, I cannot do this anymore. I have fallen in love with someone else, and I want a divorce. By the time you read this, I will have already moved out." She had planned to leave then, but changed her mind. Why? The timing coincided with my grandfather's inheritance coming through. The realization hit me like a truck. She had stayed for the money. After taking care of the practical matters when I was finally alone in the house, that is when the emotional breakdown hit. I sat on our bedroom floor surrounded by pictures of our wedding and vacations and sobbed uncontrollably. 5 years of my life, my future plans, my trust, all shattered in an instant. My phone started blowing up with messages from mutual friends. "Have you seen Amanda's Instagram? She got married in Vegas. Is this a joke?" Apparently, she had posted photos of a tacky chapel ceremony with James, both of them laughing with champagne glasses, and a caption that read, "When you find your soulmate, why wait? Sorry, Tyler, upgrade was necessary." The humiliation burned through me as I imagined everyone we knew seeing those posts. People I worked with, my family, all witnessing this public betrayal. That moment of shame and anger was when the betrayal reached its peak intensity. The loud knocking at my door came just after 8 the next morning. 2 police officers stood on my porch, along with Amanda's parents, Robert and Susan. Officer Jackson, according to his nameplate, spoke first. "Mr. Parker, we received a call about a domestic disturbance at this address. Your in-laws here are concerned for your welfare and the safety of your wife's property." Robert stepped forward, his face red with anger. "What have you done?" Tyler, Amanda called us hysterical, saying you have changed the locks and stolen her money. She said you have been threatening her. I felt like I had stepped into some bizarre alternate reality. I invited them all inside and calmly pulled out my phone. "Let me show you what actually happened," I said, displaying the text messages from Amanda. I then explained how I discovered the affair showed them the bank statements revealing her gradual theft from our accounts, and the evidence that this had been planned for months. Officer Jackson reviewed everything carefully, his expression changing from suspicious to sympathetic. "Sir, it appears this is a civil matter, not a criminal one. You have the right to change locks on property you jointly own, and freezing accounts in response to unauthorized spending is reasonable given the circumstances." Amanda's mother began crying as the truth sank in. "She always told us you were having problems, that you were controlling and angry. We had no idea." Her words trailed off as I showed them the Instagram posts. Robert's face fell as he scrolled through the comments from people mocking me and congratulating Amanda on her upgrade. As the officers were preparing to leave, my phone rang. It was Amanda. I put it on speaker. "Listen, you pathetic excuse for a man, you need to unfreeze the accounts and give my parents the new keys right now, or I swear I will destroy you. I will tell everyone you were abusive, that you threatened me. Who do you think people will believe? By the time I am done with you, you will have nothing." Officer Jackson raised his eyebrows as her tirade continued. When she finally paused for breath, he spoke up. "Mrs. Parker, this is Officer Jackson of the Portland Police Department. I am here with your parents and your husband. I should inform you that making false allegations is a serious offense." The line went silent for a moment before she hung up. After the police and her parents left, I experienced my lowest moment. Sitting alone in our living room surrounded by memories of what I thought was a happy marriage, I questioned everything about myself. Was I really so blind? So unlovable that she would betray me so completely? So pathetic, as she had said repeatedly. That evening, I received unexpected support. Our friends Brian and Lisa showed up at my door with beer and takeout. "We have seen the posts and we know it is all garbage," Lisa said as they walked in. "Amanda has been lying to everyone for months. We figured out something was going on when we saw her and James at a restaurant downtown 3 weeks ago when she told you she was working late." Their support meant everything. Other friends reached out too, people who had seen through Amanda's social media performance and recognized it for the cruel spectacle it was. Their messages and visits became lifelines in the darkest moments. That night I faced a critical decision. I could continue being a victim, drowning in self-pity and humiliation, or I could take control of the narrative and my future. The choice seemed clear but terrifying. I contacted Michael again and outlined a strategic plan. We would file for divorce immediately, citing irreconcilable differences and abandonment. We would request a full financial audit of our accounts for the past year, and we would do it all quietly, without the social media drama Amanda seemed to crave. As I dug deeper into our finances with Michael's help, we discovered something even more disturbing. Amanda and James had been discussing how to claim half of my inheritance in text messages they had exchanged. Even though inheritance is typically considered separate property, they were planning to argue that it had been commingled with our joint assets, since I had used a small portion to pay for a roof repair on our home. Their plan was transparent now. The Vegas wedding was impulsive, yes, but the timing was deliberate. They wanted to establish her claim on as many assets as possible before making their exit. Working with my lawyer proved to be the best decision I could have made. Michael helped me document everything meticulously, from the text messages announcing her new marriage to the evidence of financial manipulation. We filed for divorce the following week, citing abandonment and adultery. Amanda attempted to control the narrative on social media, painting herself as the victim who had escaped a controlling relationship. But her story started falling apart when mutual friends commented with what they actually knew to be true. Her posts became increasingly desperate as people unfollowed her and sent messages of support to me instead. I maintained a strategic silence publicly. No social media rants, no pleading posts, nothing that could be used against me. When asked about the situation, I simply said, "We grew apart, and Amanda found happiness elsewhere. I wish her well." That response infuriated her more than any angry tirade could have. The divorce proceedings moved surprisingly quickly, given the circumstances. When we finally appeared in court, Amanda and James arrived. dressed expensively, projecting confidence. That confidence crumbled when our lawyer presented the evidence of their premeditation and financial manipulation. The judge, an older woman with sharp eyes and little patience for dramatics, was particularly interested in the text messages discussing how to claim my inheritance. "Your Honor, that was just hypothetical discussion," Amanda's lawyer argued weakly. "Those hypothetical discussions seem remarkably specific," the judge noted dryly. In the end, the ruling came down firmly in my favor. The inheritance remained mine, the house would be sold, and the proceeds divided according to our original contributions, and Amanda would receive none of my business assets. Her financial maneuvers had backfired completely. Outside the courthouse, Amanda tried one last time. "You have ruined everything," she hissed. "We could have done this quietly, and both walked away with something. Now, you get your revenge. Are you happy?" I looked at her, this stranger, wearing my wife's face, and felt nothing but pity. "This was never about revenge, Amanda. It was about justice. I genuinely hope you and James will be happy. But I suspect that once he sees how easily you betrayed me, he will always be wondering when you might do the same to him." The healing process did not happen overnight. For months I struggled with trust issues, questioning my judgment and worth. I threw myself into work redesigning our office space and taking on several new clients. The distraction helped, but the nightmares persisted. Reconnecting with old friends proved therapeutic. I started playing basketball again with my college buddies, something I had given up because Amanda thought it took too much time away from her. I joined a hiking group and spent weekends exploring trails throughout Oregon, rediscovering my love for photography that had been dormant for years. A new career opportunity emerged from unexpected quarters. One of my clients, impressed with a residential project I had designed, recommended me for a position teaching architectural design part-time at the local community college. The chance to mentor students and share my passion brought fulfillment I had not anticipated. I sold the house 6 months after the divorce was finalized, using my portion to purchase a smaller but more modern loft downtown. It was a space that reflected who I truly was, without compromise or consideration for anyone else's preferences. That freedom to make decisions based solely on my own desires felt revolutionary. 1 year after the infamous Vegas text, I took a solo trip to Japan, something Amanda had always refused to consider, because she preferred tropical resorts. Walking through ancient temples and modern cityscapes alike, I felt the last tendrils of bitterness finally release their hold on my heart. 2 years into my new life, I met Sophia at a photography exhibit where one of my architectural photos was being displayed. She was the curator, passionate and knowledgeable about urban landscapes. Our conversation flowed effortlessly from photography to architecture to our favorite ramen shops in the city. When I asked for her number, there was no calculation or hesitation, just genuine interest in continuing our connection. Our relationship developed slowly, built on honest communication and respect. When I eventually told her about my past, she listened without judgment. I realized then how different healthy love feels from the manipulative attachment I had mistaken for love with Amanda. The most profound lessons came not from the betrayal itself, but from the rebuilding that followed. I learned that my worth was not determined by someone else's validation or rejection. The qualities Amanda had mocked as pathetic, my conscientiousness, sensitivity, and trust, were actually strengths that the right people would value. I discovered that sometimes betrayal becomes the unwelcome key that unlocks a door to freedom. Had Amanda not sent that text, I might have spent many more years in a relationship with someone who did not truly love or respect me. I found power in responding with dignity rather than revenge. The temporary satisfaction of retaliation would have ultimately kept me chained to the past. By focusing instead on rebuilding with integrity, I created something much more valuable than vindication. Perhaps most surprisingly, I learned the strength that comes from vulnerability. Being open about my pain with trusted friends allowed for genuine healing and deeper connections than I had ever experienced. And I gained an essential wisdom about relationships. Trust your instincts about those red flags you are tempted to ignore. The small betrayals that I had dismissed as misunderstandings or overwork had been signaling a much larger breach of trust all along. That shocking text from Vegas, intended to devastate me, ultimately set me free. It forced me to confront reality and make decisions that led to a more authentic life. Sometimes losing what we thought we wanted opens the door to discovering what we actually need. So, what about you? Have you ever experienced a betrayal that eventually led to something better in your life? Share your story in the comments below. And if this journey from betrayal to growth resonated with you, please hit that like button and subscribe to hear more real-life stories of overcoming life's challenges. Remember, sometimes the most painful endings lead to the most beautiful beginnings. Thank you for listening, and until next time, trust your worth.